Okay, guys, let's try this again. Let's see. Let me let everyone in chat know to move. Shoot, I hate dealing with technical issues. Dang it. Okay. No, that's not the one. Okay. Okay. And that's still not working. Ugh. Okay, can you see me, Charlie? Can you hear me? Because on my phone, I've got nothing. Dang it. Okay, you can hear me? Oh, brilliant. Thank you, Charlie. Okay. You guys, I am so sorry. It's this stupid storm. I'm in the process of getting some better Wi-Fi. I apologize. I'm really sorry about all of that. Ugh, don't know what to do about it. Anyway, I wanted to put those videos up. It's just mostly just for some comic relief, but also, as a little bit of an illustration. I haven't seen that movie in a long time, and it cracks me up. Let's see. I know the other chat is still over there. Let me see if I can. Let me jump in that chat and see if I can move everybody over here. Hang on. I am sorry. Let's see. That's not the right one. Let's see. Dang it. Let me jump back in here. See if I can get. Okay, and they seem. No, they're not. Oh, it's the delay. Okay, I don't know what's going on. It's the storm. It's the policy violation. Oh, thank you, wages. Okay. Well, I understood that if it was already on YouTube, that it was okay to show it. But I guess I'm wrong. I guess it was, yeah. I apologize, guys. I'm still learning. Anyway, thank you for putting up with me. Um, anyway, I thought that was really funny. What a different world this would be if nobody could lie, and I think there would be a lot less addiction if we were completely honest. And I in the chapter of this book that I've been reading, I want to read this first section to you that she writes about honesty, because I really like this. It says, uh, like the arteries that enable the human cardiovascular system, the daily practice of authenticity, integrity, and honesty creates a soul-sustaining circuitry, connecting us to those around us and to our higher selves. Truthfulness flows from our hearts to our minds, manifesting as words and deeds. Actions such as keeping our promises, refraining from stealing and cheating, and admitting that we've made mistakes all supports the longevity, health, and fitness of our spirits. When we are dishonest, even partially, it acts as a kind of blood clot in our soul's flow, blocking energy, threatening our well being, and throwing our lives into chaos. I, that's so true. I when I was putting together the thumbnail, I put up a spider web, and if you start in the center of that spider web, imagine one of those in the center of that, and one of those little fibers sticking out. Imagine that just one light, and if you follow that line, it honestly that one light incubates two more, and those two incubate into two more. I mean, it just branches out. I mean, that's what lies do. You tell one lie, and then you got to tell four to cover up that one lie. I mean, and as addicts, we can get so completely tangled up in our web of lies, and it just destroys lives, it destroys relationships. It's a bad thing. um, there is a quote that she put in here, and it is by James E. Faust. Let's see. Oh, it's right here, and it's very simple. Um, but it says honesty is more than not lying. It is truth telling, truth speaking, truth living, and truth loving. And I love that. I completely agree with that. And I was surprised that she used that quote, just because it's one of the church that I belong to. It's one of our big leaders that actually said that. I was kind of surprised, but I love that quote because it is true. Truth has got to come from your heart, and it's got to come out not only in what you say, it's got to come out in what you do. And that's been a problem. As addicts, that's a big problem. Hey, cat, what you doing, buddy? Um, there's a lot of reasons why we lie. Um, I wanted to just share this little story here, and that she puts in here. She makes a. I mean, it's just a completely just hypothetical situation. Um, let's see, where did it start? Um, okay, she talks about a man um, who is an alcoholic. Okay, alcoholic may wish to avoid drinking at work, in the car, or during family gatherings, but the relentless physical need to quell the cravings is no match for his good intentions. Okay. Eventually, he succumbs and must hide the evidence of his addiction in filing cabinets or in the glove compartment. He tells the cop who pulls him over that he hasn't had a sip all day. His spouse questions why he's suddenly in a glorious mood. So he invents a phony promotion to explain his booze fueled euphoria. Okay, now as the lies communicate, they must become more elaborately layered and sophisticated, or else collapse altogether. Now, this man must leave home an hour early each day to justify the phony promotion. He has to take longer, more convoluted roads to work to avoid the cop who is growing suspicious. Now, he's created a world of 24/7 fiction that constantly threatens to implode, tumbling down on his head like a load of bricks. And in an effort to combat the enormous pressure, he once again turns to alcohol, forgetting that his drinking is the very thing that got him into such a mess in the first place. And I know as addicts, we all are guilty of doing things like that. A lot of times the lies start out as self preservation. Um, and I know for me, the reasons that I was addicted for so long went back to my childhood and things that happened, things that I saw, things that happened to me as a kid. And, I never, for such a long time, never, got down to the bottom of what my addiction really was. I wasn't being honest with myself at all. I was a mess, and I'll never forget. Before I went to rehab and I started, I've been in and out of therapy for different things, but I'd never gotten really to the core issues. And I remember going to my therapist when I first moved down here, the therapist that I had, and I finally decided, to start delving into everything that was the core issues. But I left a lot of things out, and one of the big things that I left out was that I was still an addict. And it doesn't matter if I'm trying to take care of those things. If I'm not being completely honest about everything that's going on, I'm not really going to have good results. And here I was, telling him about my childhood and telling him the things that were going on, but I wasn't telling him, all of the things that I was doing, to try to, self medicate, self soothe, just trying to not, not feel all of those core things. And so, I'm telling my therapist all these things, but yet I'm still masking them. So I'm not feeling them completely. I don't know. It just wasn't working. It wasn't working at all. And I can't remember what movie it was, but I was watching a movie. And this was after I'd been through rehab, and I was struggling. I hadn't, I had relapsed once, and this was after that, and I was considering it again. just because I was still hurting so badly inside, and I just, you know, you want the easy route out. You don't want to take the hard road. I was seriously considering relapsing again, and I remember watching a movie, and I don't even remember what it was, but I marveled at I just the person in the movie, the way that she was manipulating everybody in the family and the lies that she was telling and the things that she was doing. And I started really looking at it, and I thought, I don't know, it hit me for the first time. And I really, really admitted to myself, I'm doing the exact same things. And look at the mess that I have made in my life. I had ruined the relationships with so many people and so many family members. And I was on the brink of, splitting up with my husband. It was a mess, and I remember after that movie, it really did hit me. And I thought, whoa, you know, it was the first time I really, really looked at what I was doing, all the lies that I was telling, all the things that I was doing to cover things up, and this was, I was sober at this point, but the way I was thinking and the things I was doing, I was still in active addiction, even though I wasn't using. I hope that makes sense. But that's what was going on. And I finally, that there, then and there that night, I decided no more. I am tired of this. I need to grow up and I need to be responsible for my actions. And it wasn't easy, to finally be honest about everything. And I sat down with my husband, and I just told him everything that I was thinking and feeling. And, I the damage that I had done between us was pretty severe. And I just decided, you know what, I'm not going to play games anymore. I'm not going to manipulate. I'm not going to try any of this stuff. I'm just going to try to be me. I really had to start digging deep and find out who I really was and what I really wanted. And then I had to be honest about it. And for a long time, it was just me expressing everything that was going on up here to my husband and telling him what I was thinking and what I was feeling. And he finally, after months and months of this, he started to warm up to me again. He started to let me in. He started to recognize. I mean, when someone lies to you, especially if you're an empath, if you feel a lot of things deeply here, you can tell when someone lies to you. And if you can't see through their lie, you can still feel it. You know, and I think he could feel that I was finally being honest with him. And it took a long, long time, but I never gave up on it. And like I said, he finally warmed up. He finally started to let me back in, and he's had to learn the same thing in a lot of ways. Being completely honest. And we trust each other very much now. We know we can depend on each other. But it wasn't easy, admitting all the things that we had never admitted before. And I have to laugh. I have to tell you, the other day, my husband had something on his phone. It was on YouTube, and it was a bunch of people that I'm trying to remember. It was something going on where all of these women were coming on it and saying they were, saying they were a 10, and they were, when they obviously weren't a 10. And I don't know, I can't even remember what the show was, but we were just kind of laughing about it, because if you saw this woman and you saw that she claimed she was a 10, you're like, that's some delusion right there. But we were laughing about it. But then I thought, I wonder what my husband, how he rates me. I was really curious. And we are deadly honest with each other. And so it was my mistake to even ask this question, but I asked him, okay. I said, I know I'm not a 10. And I know that. I said, but where do I fall on your spectrum? And he said, oh, about a 6 or 7. And I knew he was telling the truth. And that's a little bit hard. That's putting your husband in a very difficult situation where you want him to be completely honest. And ever since then, part of me is like, I am so grateful that he was completely honest with me. But part of me is also like, my husband doesn't think I'm a 10. I know it's silly, but I knew he was completely honest with me, and I love that. I know I can trust him. And when we're addicts and we aren't completely honest about everything, people can sense that. and it's not good for you. Now, let me jump back a little bit and try to explain some of this. Um, you know, to hide your substance abuse is one reason, why you lie. Um, but another reason is shame. If there have been, well, as addicts, we are all very ashamed of ourselves and the things that we have done because we have definitely lowered our standards to do the things that we have done. And that's a big one. Another one is, it's self-preservation. A lot of the time, you jump into addiction because there's something deep inside, something very traumatic that you are hiding from that you don't want to deal with. And your drug of choice, covers that up for a while, helps you forget, helps you feel something good for a while. So it's something that just goes hand in hand with addiction. Lying does. It's hand in hand with addiction. Another reason that people lie, and I was briefly talking about this before, but it's to control and manipulate other people. And one of the reasons why this happens, if you have been traumatized or you have been bullied in your past, especially if it's something that happened to you in childhood, um, you know, this makes when it happens to a child, it makes the child feel very weak and very helpless. And a lot of times that can actually stunt your emotional growth and leave you, even though you grow up as an adult physically, you are stunted at that point. You're still that child. And you start to, you try to kind of preemptively strike, um, and hurt other people before they hurt you. And I have seen this, especially in work environments. As a nurse, working, I had a head nurse one time that was very much like this. And I'll tell you, she wasn't in that position for very long. Um, but I've seen it many times, and I'm sure you all have, where, people have been hurt so deeply that, they want to hurt other people before they get hurt. And I really take issue with that. That one really disturbs me. In my family, if I, on my mother's side, I can trace things back where generation after generation just passed down all of this crap. That someone way back, had been very mistreated. And so when they grew up and became a parent, they did the same thing. And it was just passed down and passed down and passed down, but until it hit me, and everything that my mother had ended up doing to me, there's no way. This is where I take issue right there. Is there's no way I'm going to turn around and do that to my daughters. And I remember as a kid telling myself, I am not. When I'm a mother, I will not do this. I won't do that. I won't do that. I had this list of things, in my head, but I stopped it. I stopped that generational trauma that was just passed down, generation after generation. It wasn't an easy thing, but it really bothers me. If you have had something happen to you, if you've been treated badly, and you turn around and you do that to someone else, even though you know what it feels like, that one bothers me. I really struggle with that. And I know there are many reasons why people turn to that, but that one does bother me. But it, I've seen that a lot, where people will control and manipulate. Um, and if you dig deep enough, you find out it's just self preservation, But, you know, that first clip that I showed you guys, and I hope you saw it, where Jim Carrey was walking through the hall with his little boy, and he was throwing out all these silly lies. Some of them could prove very harmful. Some of them, might seem like white lies, but even the white lies can be bad. And that's a really hard one. And I'll tell you, I don't have many friends because I don't like superficiality. I don't like talking about the weather. If I sit down with someone, I want to have a heart to heart talk. I want to make connections with people, and I don't like the superficial nonsense. And I'm definitely an empath. I feel a lot of other people's emotions, and people that are fake. And there's a couple of people I know at church that when they smile at me and they say hello, you can just feel it that they're not being themselves. And that bothers me. I feel that here. I don't like that. I appreciate people who are dead honest, even if that honesty hurts a little bit, because people are completely honest with you. You know where you stand with them. And I used to think that people were completely honest were mean, but now I appreciate it. Even the comment that my husband gave me about being a 6 or 7, I appreciate that he is honest with me. I do. I know where what I know where I stand with him. But that's something that we really need to work on. You know, and what it comes down to is, the last time I talked about this book, I had talked about authenticity. And I encouraged you all to do some digging and to find out who you really are. What is most important to you? What are your goals? What are your standards? Think about those things. Because if you know who you are and you know what you want, you know what things are important to you, and then you can live your life that way, and in effect be honest. Boy, it's going to change things. Because if you're honest about what you're thinking, what you're feeling, what you're doing, if you have the honesty in that, you're being true to yourself. And that right there, if you can be true to yourself instead of hiding behind a facade, hiding behind a pill bottle and hiding behind, a booze bottle, things like that, it eliminates, being truthful eliminates the need to be hiding anymore and to be masking things. And it's not an easy thing, but it is really important. And I love in this book, she talks about how, for every lie, no matter how harmless you think it is, there are consequences that you don't escape. And even these little minor lies that you think are okay can actually lead to a problem with intimacy. Like I said, when I go to church, there are very few people there that are true friends that I can sit down and talk to. And there's a lot of people, like I said, that can be very fake, and you can just feel it. That it honestly, when you aren't yourself, and you're lying, or it puts up a wall between you, and it really messes up intimacy, and that's something else that we need. So you always hear that the opposite of addiction is connection, and we really, really thrive when we have true connections with others, when we can be honest with each other, and that's it's something that's really important. And when you're not honest, you're honestly living in isolation, and you aren't being true to yourself. And lying of any kind really does ruin your self-esteem too, again, because you're not being true to yourself. Also, lying brings a lot of unnecessary drama into our lives. And I want to read you this. There's a case study here that she put here, and this was actually one of her patients. And of course, the name has been changed. I'm not even going to say what the name is that she has here, but I just want to read this to you. It's a really good illustration. And it says, she says here, to illustrate, consider the following story of one of my clients. A man who, oh, it does say, okay, she calls him James. I'm sure she's changed the name. He was a husband and a father who for many years had been hiding his homosexuality from his wife, from his coworkers, family, and friends. No one thought to ask him if he was living a double life. So he just omitted the part. Okay, that's another form of lying, is omitting the truth. Okay. Anyway, he omitted that part of his experience from every conversation. Now, throughout his marriage to Sarah, whom he considered his best friend, James not only kept his secret, but felt deeply ashamed that he was gay. He buried his pain and developed a cocaine habit that was fueled by affairs with men. His drug his drug use helped him forget about the secrets and lies for a time, but predictably, Sarah finally found out that he wasn't the man that she had agreed to marry. Let's see. Both their marriage and their friendship ended, and James realized that concealing his real identity had caused him and those he loved a great deal of pain. James' recovery plan focused on being honest with his family, his friends, and his coworkers. And once he felt safe and courageous enough to begin living his truth, he could finally move forward and treat his drug addiction. I love that. That's a really good illustration. Um, Lies always have consequences, even if they are little things. Um, but I think the biggest lie that we tell as addicts is we lie to ourselves. What do I mean by that? For a lot of, just for an example, when I had first started therapy, when I moved down here, before I went to rehab. Um, I'm sorry, brain fart. um, Boy, I'm sorry. I lost my train of thought. I apologize. But anyway, I was talking about lying to ourselves. Oh, I remember. Like I said, I remember. I was telling my therapist all of the things from my childhood that that had wounded me so deeply, but I omitted telling him the truth about my addiction, that I was still in active addiction and everything, and that really, I didn't get anywhere. And and every time I thought about telling him the truth, I would talk myself out of it. I really fell into denial. And I would tell myself, oh, my addiction's not that bad. I'm not doing this every day. Or, the pills that I stole from my friend, they're not going to miss them. I mean, all of the dumb things that we tell ourselves that keep ourselves in addiction. That's what I was doing. I was really lying to myself, and I was minimizing the effects that it had on everybody around me. Because when you're high, you think, especially if you're feeling really good and you're on a really euphoric trip or something, you know you really don't, you think that you're hiding it from everybody, and everybody can clearly see that you are high, you know but you tell yourself that it's not that big of a deal, and that's not helping. You're just going to stay in addiction. It's not helping. What we really need to do is need to learn how to call a spade in the end. Really, you've got to just be honest with who you are and what you're doing. um, it's a hard thing to do, to come out of that. you know it's I've seen a lot of people. I know when I was working as a psych nurse that it was just second nature to lie, and the things that I would hear, and you would know that they weren't true. But it really is second nature as an addict. And I was just thinking, as another example, I have been very open with you guys about my faith. I'm a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, and um, I'm sure that you have seen, we've got temples that pretty much dot the earth at this point. And, to be able, hey, Kat, to be able to be worthy to enter the temple, you have to be interviewed by your bishop and by a member of your stake presidency to get a temple recommend. And you've got to have that recommend to enter the temple. And, they go through a bunch of questions. There's a lot of things that you have to live up to qualify, to go into the temple. And I missed, for a very long time. I wasn't worthy to go to the temple, and it was really hard on me, because I believe, my faith, very dear to me, and I believe it completely. And I knew, that my addiction went against everything that I knew was right, and all the lies that I had to tell, to try to maintain that lifestyle too. I knew that was wrong, and so it was very, very freeing when I could finally go to my bishop and then to my stake president, and go through all the battery of questions that they ask you, and I was able to answer them honestly. And the big one for me, besides the lying, was the word of wisdom. We believe that God's given us directions in how to treat our bodies and how to keep ourselves healthy. And drugs and alcohol are definitely against that. So it was, I can't, it was wonderful that there's a temple that I live very close to. um, and I was actually a temple worker, I was an ordinance worker there, and it was wonderful to finally have my life together enough that I could be there and do that kind of work. I mean, it was wonderful. It was very freeing, I guess is what I'm trying to say. Very freeing because I was finally living in the manner that I believe I'm supposed to live. And it feels so good, but it took a lot of work to get to that point. It feels good to be here, but I have to constantly remind myself that I have got to be completely honest, all the time, even when that honesty is difficult. When sometimes there are things that you have to admit to people that might hurt their feelings, but it really is the only way, you know, because there are consequences to every lie you tell, and it hurts. It hurts you. It hurts your spirit. And a couple of days ago I had talked about taking better care of ourselves. And I spent most of the time talking about physical health, but the last thing that I had mentioned was spiritual health, and I didn't have the time to really go into that. But when you're honest, when you don't lie, when you're being true to yourself and the things that are important, that honesty feeds your spirit. When you lie, it destroys that light inside you. When you're honest, it feeds your spirit. It's very necessary, and it's not just what you say. It's, if you promise somebody you're going to do something, you know, go through with it, follow through with it. That's what feeds your spirit, and I know that's a difficult thing for us as addicts. But the last part of this chapter about honesty, I wanted to share this part with you. It says here, let's see, even a man or woman whose every word has been a lie for decades can wake up one morning, decide to start being honest, and immediately be vaulted into a plane of existence that he or she never imagined was possible. And you know what? It is true. That day that I had decided, no more, I'm not going to control, I'm not going to manipulate, I'm not going to lie, I'm not going to do this behavior anymore. I'm going to be who I'm supposed to be, who I know I am. That day changed my life. And the first day that I was able to go back to the temple was me looking around and going, I can't believe this. Me, a drug addict, back where I knew I belonged. And then to be actually an ordinance worker again. I was on that plane of existence again. Just wow. I never thought this would be possible, but it felt so good, felt so right, you know, and that is so true. And I never imagined I would be on YouTube talking about these things, you know. But I've been through a huge life change. But I'll tell you, it feels so good. But I have to be careful. I have to remember my past. I have to remember the horrible lies that I told and the horrible things that I did, so that I never go back there again. I don't want that. So me coming on here and sharing my life with you guys feels good. And yeah, I never saw this, but anyway, I want to just read this last little part here. She says, the act of telling the truth is an instant relief serum. And I'll tell you, it's very true. Very true. It's a neurochemical tonic. And no, this is true. There's research behind this. It is a neurochemical tonic that restores ease, pleasure, and a sense of peace. This truth serum works faster to elevate your mood than any street drug, supplement, or pharmaceutical on the market. And then she talks about how our brains are really highly adaptable computers. Just because you spent a very lot, a big portion of your life being dishonest and, hiding your addiction and, the whole, just it's all a facade, you know. Think about that as a microchip in your brain that is broken and you're just going to remove that and get rid of it. She talks about, thinking about, making this huge change, like a reset. Think about your brain is that computer, just getting rid of that broken microchip. Just get rid of it. It isn't an easy thing, but it's very freeing, and this is all true what she's saying about, the truth being a serum. It really does work. Um, your brain can learn, and it can learn very quickly to have a very different lifestyle. And I can't think of the scripture right now, but it says the truth shall set you free. And as addicts, we've lived a life of lies. It's very freeing when you're finally honest about what you're doing and about who you are. And so, at the end of that chapter, she talks about, well, she gives you a challenge, and that challenge I'm going to put out to everybody here. Um, you can take it or you can leave it, but the challenge is to go 24 hours and be completely, completely honest, um, and to write about that. Be honest in what you're saying, what you're doing, what you're feeling. Be emotionally honest and write about it. Write it all down. And it's a really good exercise. Um, I'm going to put that out there. Take that if you can, and go for 24 hours and be completely honest. See how you feel. See what it does for you. Because I know as a nurse, when I was in nursing school, and I also remember this from microbiology, they talked about the sun being a very good disinfectant. And I know my very first nursing job was in a nursing home. And the chairs that they had that the residents there would sit in weren't cloth. They were some kind of vinyl or something that was easy, that it was easy to clean because the elderly often have accidents and things like that. But I remember there was one couch that didn't have the covers on it, and it was usually in the front, and it was more for visitors. But there was a resident that ended up sleeping on that couch one afternoon, and that couch got a little polluted, if you understand my meaning. And after cleaning it up and everything, it still did not smell right, and they were going to throw it out. And I said, "Hey, just go put it out in the sun for a while," because I remember that from microbiology and from nursing school that that the sun really can be a really good disinfectant. And we use this with a lot of our chicken stuff too. Just putting it out in the yard in the sun is going to kill a lot of things. And why I'm telling you this is, you know, um, think about telling the truth as letting the sun in. You know, be open and be honest about your life and let that sun come in. Let that disinfect. Let it get rid of all of the disease that all of the lies have caused for so long. Um, and they did put that the couch out and the cushions out and everything. They just let it sit in the sun for a while. And the trying to remember. I know that they ended up saving it. I think they actually had to reupholster it, and it didn't work. But I do know that like I said, with a lot of our chicken stuff, I need to go over there next week, clean everything. You have to get bleach and everything. But after the bleaching, I just I let a lot of the stuff, a lot of the feed equipment and stuff just sit out in the sun for a day because I know what the sun can do, and it will kill a lot of things. And just think about letting that light in, because once you can be honest, that truth really does set you free. It sets you free from your addiction. It sets you free from the need to be hiding behind anything. And let's see, just looking to see. I don't even know how long I've been going now. I don't even know where my phone went. Good grief. Anyway, well, oh, there it is. Okay, it's about time to end. Um, thank you for putting up with this. I'm sorry that that stream ended for a while, but yeah, I guess I'm learning, guys. I'm still learning what I can and can't do with YouTube. Anyway, I hope everybody's doing well. And if if you guys if anyone needs to talk, I know Tommy's resting today. That's probably not a good option, but I'll tell you right now, um, my email is it's really easy to remember. It's still running 50. Um, I made that that email when I was 50. I'm not 50 anymore, but I'm still running. Anyway, it's still running 50 at Outlook. So if any of you guys need anything, reach out to me. I will be checking tonight. And again, it's still running 50 at outlook.com. That's my email. Um, just wanted to let you guys know. I pray for you guys, for everybody on this boat. I pray for you guys many times every day. And I pray that those who need help will be led here too. This boat I'm finding is really amazing. The people here are really amazing, and thank you for putting up with all this stuff while Tommy and I are both trying to learn how to use these things better. Um, anyway, um, I'm sure I'll see you guys again really soon. I hope you guys have a really good night, and I will talk to you guys again soon.